Hello, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new here. My name is Dani, and today it's time for the mid-year freakout tag. I saw a lot of people already posting this tag, and I feel like it should be in the end of June, but we're doing it. It's fun, and I want to answer those questions as well. So if you don't know, this tag is all about the first half of the year, how it's been, what we want from now on, and just all of that. It's a really fun tag to film and a lot of cool questions to answer, so let's just jump right into it. The first question is, best book you've read so far in 2021? I think it's fair to say it was A Way of Kings, right? It was the one that I gave all 10s in my spreadsheet, and I think it was the best, and I can't wait to continue the series. But each book takes a whole month for me to read, so I'm going to continue, but this is definitely the best book that I've read so far in 2021. Second question is the best sequel you've read in 2021. Have I read a lot of sequels? I've read one of the Full Metal volumes, but let me see which sequels I read. I read 26 books so far in the year, which is great because my goal is 50, so I'm right there in the middle. It's not the end of June yet, so I'm right there in the middle, which is good. But let me see which sequels I've read. Full Metal, like I said, and Gemini. That was it. Those were the two sequels that I've read in 2021, and I really liked both. Both were 5 stars for me, so I don't know what to say. I think Full Metal is harder to separate one book from the other because there's a lot and they're all just short volumes in each of these bigger volumes. And Gemini was the second book in a trilogy, so it's much more defined, if that makes sense. So I don't know, both of them, maybe Gemini because I remember it more than Full Metal because it's all one thing in my head. But yeah, Gemini by Amy Kaufman and J. Kristoff. It's the second book in the Illuminate series trilogy, and it was really good. Third question is, new release you haven't read yet but want to. Do I have any on my cart? I don't have any new releases that I haven't read. There's one other Full Metal that I already received that I haven't read yet. But what else? I'm considering this question books that were released in the first half of the year, not that are going to be released, because I couldn't have read them yet. So the first half, what was released that I want to read? I read all the books that I was really excited for, like Realm Breaker, The Ones We're Meant to Find, my Owl Crate, but I think I had Lore from January. I read all of those. I think the only one that I haven't read that I actually pre-ordered and really wanted to read. Oh, I read Witches and Steeped in Gold as well. So I think the only one would be the next Full Metal, I guess, that I already have but haven't read yet. But I'm going to be reading that really soon. I can't think of any other books, so we'll go with that. Next question is most anticipated release for the second half of the year. That's definitely going to be Wings of Shadow by Nikki Palpredo. It's the next one in the Crown of Feathers trilogy, the last one in the Crown of Feathers trilogy, and I'm really excited for it. I can't wait to get this book. I ordered the Fake Rate box that comes with a plushie and just some cool items, and I'm really excited for it. I don't know how long it's going to take to get to me. I didn't pre-order any other copies of it, so I'm going to wait for that one. But I'm really excited. I can't wait to finish this trilogy. It's really good. Fifth question is biggest disappointment. I think like I mentioned this before, I think the worst book, the most boring book that I read in the first half was Frankenstein, but I don't think it was a disappointment. I kind of expected that it would be boring, but biggest disappointment would for sure have to be Game Changer by Neil Shusterman. I've given 5 stars to almost all of his books, but Game Changer did not work for me. I think he was trying to do a lot of things that he didn't do well, and I was very disappointed by it. I haven't heard a lot of people talking about it since it was released, and I think it's because people didn't like much. I don't know. But for me, it was a disappointment. I was highly anticipating it, and it just didn't work. Next question is biggest surprise. Biggest surprise? One of my most surprising books this year was Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, which was a YA contemporary that I really had a lot of fun with. I haven't read a YA contemporary in I don't know how many years, and I really enjoyed it, so it was a really big surprise. I don't know if it was the biggest surprise of all, I think The Ones We're Meant to Find was also very surprising how much I loved that book. That was, because Today Tonight Tomorrow was like 4 stars, I really enjoyed it, but The Ones We're Meant to Find, I loved it. It was 5 stars, and I don't know, I was expecting to really enjoy it, but how much I loved it, how much I loved the writing and the immersion of the story, I think that would be my most surprising book. 7th question is favorite new author, debut, or new to you? Again, The Ones We're Meant to Find, it was new to me. It's not her first book, but it was the first one that I've read, and definitely a new favorite author. The other best books that I've read in the first half of the year were by authors that I've read before. So I think Joni would be my new favorite author. It's the first book that I read from her, so it's hard to say that she's a new favorite author. I don't know if all of her stories, all of her books would be 5 stars like this was for me, but definitely one that I would love to read more from. Next question is newest fictional crush. I don't get fictional crushes since 15 years ago. So I don't know. I can't say I have one. And the 9th question is newest favorite character. I really love the characters in Vicious, not one specific, but overall all of the characters are really fun to follow. Same with The Ones We're Meant to Find. The Way of Kings. Okay, I think my newest favorite character would have to be a character from The Way of Kings. I don't want to talk too much about her because, like I said in my wrap-up about The Way of Kings, I want people to go into it as blind as possible. So, Yasna, I'm not sure if that's how you pronounce her name. I just looked it up, and apparently you don't pronounce the J, like it starts with a J, but it's supposed to should be pronounced as a Y. So Yasna, she is one of my new favorite characters. I love her, and I can't wait to see what's going to happen to her story. And she's just really badass and awesome, and I really love her. Next question is a book that made me cry. How to Stop Time by Matt Haig. It made me cry in like the last page. I was listening to the audiobook, but like the last few minutes of it made me cry, and I think that was the only one. But yeah, that one definitely made me cry. A book that made me happy. A book that made me happy. Today, Tonight, Tomorrow made me happy. The Ones We're Meant to Find made me happy. Let me think of a happy book. I haven't read a lot of happy books this year, so I think those would be the ones. Realmbreaker also made me happy, but they're not necessarily happy books. I think the happiest of those would be Today, Tonight, Tomorrow, so let's go with that. 12th question is most beautiful book you've bought so far this year or received. Let me look into my haul then. I think the most beautiful book would be one that I got as a gift, which was To Sleep on a Sea of Stars by Christopher Paolini. I think this is gorgeous. Maybe it's just how big it is, but like even the author's name here, I think it's just so pretty that I loved it, and I can't wait to get to it soon, hopefully. But I think this is the most beautiful book I bought or received. In this case, it was a gift. So I think this is the most beautiful book from the first half of the year that I hauled in the first half of the year. And last question is which books you need to read by the end of the year. So I still have a few of my advent calendar books. I'm going to put here an image of the ones that I've read and the ones that I still have to read. There's a few prompts that I still have to fulfill, which are less than 250 pages, gifted, and buy a book at Indigo, the first blue book that I find at Indigo, which I'm going to do that in July. So subscribe if you want to see that footage. And for actual books for the advent calendar that I have to read, we have all of them here. Daughter of the Forest, The Dream Daughter, The Nightingale, The Diviners, and The Hound of Death and Other Stories, which I already bought, but I'm still waiting for it to arrive. And I think that's it. It's not too bad. Actually, I was worried as in the beginning of the year I wasn't reading as many of these books as I should have, but I think it's okay. I have kind of like one per month that I could read, so it's manageable, I think. And these are really the only books that I have to read, that I said that I would, it's in my goals to read until the end of the year. There are a lot of others that I want to, like I said, continuing the Stormlight Archive. I really want to continue. I want to finish the Illuminate series. I already have Obsidio here. I don't know. There's quite a few that I want to read, but those are the ones that I have to read. I also want to read them, but you know what I mean. And this is all for this tag. Let me know what would be your answers. What is your favorite book that you've read in the first half of the year? What is your most anticipated release for the second half of the year? I would love to know that. So leave a comment and just let me know. Remember to like this video and subscribe to my channel, and thank you so much for joining me. Bye!